Hey everybody, here is your Unit 12 vocabulary. So a few new terms and some that you've already seen in the past. A polyhedron is a solid figure with many plane faces. Now by faces, what that means is a flat surface that make up the polyhedron. Edges are the line segments that join the faces. A vertex is a point at which three or more polyhedron edges meet. A prism is a three-dimensional shape with two identical bases, and a pyramid is a three-dimensional shape with one base. And so let's kind of talk about the differences. If you have a prism, here's a rectangular prism. It's got two of the exact same bases, but a difference between prisms and pyramids would be, let me zoom out. This pyramid right here only has one base. So you notice that it's got one square base. This would be a square pyramid. And this rectangular prism has square bases, but there are two of them. So that's why it's a prism. Here's another example of a prism. It's a prism because it's got a hexagon for the top and a hexagon for the bottom. So it's got two bases. So that is a hexagonal prism. Another example of a pyramid, it's got a base that's a triangle, and then it has the edges and the faces here, but it's only got one base. All right, edges are the things that join the faces together, so this would be an edge right here. These line segments are all edges. The line segments on the bases are all edges, and vertices are what connect the edges. So here we go, here's a vertex, here's one, all the points on the shape. All right, so that's your vocabulary. The next thing we're going to talk about is nets. So on Friday, I had y'all running around and finding household objects, and I asked you how would we find the area, the surface area of these objects, and some of y'all sent me some really good pictures. So if I have a cube, for instance, if I wanted to find the area of this cube, I have to ask myself, how many sides does it have, and how can I find the area for each of those sides? Now, we do that by finding what's called the net. That means if I were to open this shape up and lay all the sides flat, that's going to be the net of my cube. So as you can see, when I open it up, I've got my two bases and I've got my four sides here. So this is the net of a cube. All right, let's try another one. A rectangular prism. Pause and take a minute to think of what that might look like. So hopefully you thought about the four sides around the edges and the two bases were squares. So it would look something like this. Okay. Here's one. This one is a pyramid because it's only got one base. It's got a square for a pyramid. Stop and think about what that net might look like if I unfolded this. So if I have my square pyramid and I opened it up, start with the base. It's a square for the base. And then I've got triangles on each edge of the base. So it should look something like this. All right. This one is similar, except the base for this pyramid is a triangle shape. So this is called a triangular pyramid. If I unfold this, let's see what it looks like. So I would start with my triangular base first, and then on each of those edges, I would have a triangle. So it would look something like this. All right, if I have a triangular prism, a prism means it's got two of the exact same bases. If I have a triangular prism, you have to stop and think, how many sides are on the edges and what shape are my bases? So let's open it up. It should look something like this. All right, I've got my triangular bases, and I've got my 3 rectangles as my sides. Okay, here's another one. It's a hexagonal prism. It's a hexagon on the base. There's 2 of the bases, so that makes it a prism. So hexagonal prism. So if it's got 6 edges on the base, think about the sides, how many rectangles there would be. There would be 6 rectangles. So the best way that I can tell you how to do these nets are to start with the number of rectangles, draw them all in a row, and then at the end, you can put your bases as hexagons. All right, so it'll look something like that. A cylinder, this one is a little bit trickier, but stop and think of what this shape would be if I unfolded it. Obviously, it's got circles as bases, so we know that there's going to be 2 circles. And then let's think about what would happen if I unfolded it. All right, so you can see as I unfold it, it's flat, it's a rectangle, and I've got 2 circular bases, so it looks something like this. So it is a rectangle when I unfold it, and then I've got my 2 bases. All right, last one is a cone. So this one is a challenge. It's got a circular base, but how would the top look if I unfold it? All right, that one was very challenging. I don't think I've had anybody get it just yet, but it reminds me of a semicircle, a little bit smaller actually. Think about what shape you would need in order to have them, have the ends meet like this and create a point. Looks similar to a semicircle, it's slightly smaller though. And then it's got a circle for the base. All right. Now your IXL is posted. It is very, very easy. And so I want everybody to get a 100 on that IXL.